create and estimate poses. Okay, so this would be a very much exciting class for all of you if you want to learn about machine learning and how to get started with JavaScript. Okay, so if you have been following my course on web development, we will be learning about JavaScript, but I just wanted to quickly show you an application of JavaScript as well as machine learning. Hello everyone. Hi Pooja. Hi Pritam. Hi Vaibhav. Good evening. Let's just wait for 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll start. I'm good, guys. I'm good. I think this one would be really interesting for all of you to just take a look at, because you'll actually see how it is made. I remember there was this one free class that I did 1 or 2 months ago wherein I actually showed you this as an application of Python. But today I'll actually show you how to build it. Okay. So this would be very much exciting. And the best part is that it only takes like 40 lines of code for you to write this. Okay. So it is very much understandable by everyone. It is very much efficient, which means that anyone can understand it. So yeah, there's that. Let me show you what exactly we will be doing. So I'll open up a demo version of that and I'll show you how that looks like. Okay, so let me share my screen, and I don't think you'll be able to see, I will be able to read the comments, but can you see the screen? All right, great. So as you can see, this is what we will be building. We will build something like this, and we can obviously have multiple poses as well. So right now it is only detecting my eyes as well as my nose. Okay, so let's see this, right? So if I actually put a hand over there, it doesn't properly detect my nose because it's not able to see it properly. So this is my post detection for my nose and my eyes. It is a little buggy. I take some time because my laptop is a little slower, I think, but this is definitely possible. Okay, I can also show you something. Let me see if I me. So this was a project that we did. Let me see. Just a minute. Should be here. This is my GitHub, and this is where I keep all of my code. I want to show you pose estimation right there. Yeah, over here. So ML5 JS, and so basically what we did is that we used this to actually build something, and I'll show you what that would look like. It says it is called as telesense. I think it was a project that I created. uh, telesense.get. Yeah, here it is. So let me just open it up, and it is similar to that. Let me show you the web version of it. So this is what Google has created, and I just want to show you what all can you do with it. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated version of the same thing, and let me just stand up and show you how this thing would work. So I have my hand, and it, as you can see, detects my hand. It takes my complete body posture, and that is how this thing would work, right? You can also see that this is Elon Musk over here, and it is also able to detect Elon Musk. Right, so this is really interesting application of Python that we can do. Let me just get back and I'll show you how to make it. All right, so I'll get rid of this, but yeah, what do you think? How is it? All right, yeah, definitely, Preetham. You don't have to know a lot of things about coding. I'll show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so now let me just share the screen and I'll talk more about. Yeah, exactly. We'll say कैसे बनाया, हम देखने वाले हैं कैसे बनाया इसको. First of all, what is pose estimation? ठीक है. तो what happens in poses is that, let's say I create my own pose. I can say that I have this person, and I can make like a very much simple stickman figure over here. Okay, and this is what the person looks like. A very horrible drawing, I understand, but over here I can just see and I can take a look at what are the poses. Okay, so it detects the joints of your bones basically. Okay, you can think of it like that. Good evening, Sumit. So it first of all detects your nose. Okay, it detects your eyes. So first of all, your eyes are here. Your eyes are here. Yeah, your nose is over here. It detects your ears. So your ears can be over here and here as itself. And then this is your face, right? This is your face, and it also detects your shoulders, right? So this part and this part it detects that as well, and that would be placed somewhere over here. And similarly detects your waist and all of that. It also detects your leg. So that is what it does. Okay, so that's what pose estimation means. It basically means to estimate the position where the poses are located, and there are over 17 poses that it actually locates. I'll show you what I mean by that. First of all, what will we be using for creating something like this? So in this case, we'll be using a few things. First of all, we have ML5JS. Okay, so what is ML5JS? You might be thinking. Basically, ML5JS enables you to use pre-trained models. Okay, so these are pre-trained machine learning models. Generally, what happens in machine learning is that, let's say I have a model, I'll have to actually train that model first of all. What do I mean by training is that I will give it a lot of data. मैं उसे बहुत सारा data दे दूंगा. And with data, what will happen is that it will try to process data. वो बोलेगा अच्छा ठीक है, this is how, first of all, I'll have a lot of the poses. तो I'll have a lot of photos basically. काफ़ी सारी photos होंगी लोगों के ऐसे चलते हुए या फिर मतलब कुछ भी करते हुए दौड़ते हुए and all that. And in those images, all of their poses will be located by some human person. So that is what is happening here, right? So they can be a person over here and they are just walking or running, and I can just say that okay, this is where their nose is, this is where their eyes are, this is where their ears are. Okay, so when I do this, I basically feed in a lot of data to this model. I am telling it exactly where it is, and I'm just feeding it into my model, and then the model learns from that. And that is what the model is called. The model here is called as PoseNet. Okay, so PostNet is what we'll be using. But first of all, yeah, ML5JS allows you, this is a JavaScript library that allows you to write a lot of machine learning code using JavaScript itself. Then we have P5JS. Okay, so what is P5JS? It basically helps you to visualize artistic, basically create artistic visualizations. Okay, after that, we have TensorFlow's PostNet. Okay, so this is a model that has already been created. We don't need to do anything with the model. We will simply be using that model, and we'll see how can we implement that. This is also called as transfer learning, in which we don't really create the model ourselves, but we use this link that would help us to use this model, and we can just implement it right away. Okay, so this is a new type of machine learning that has come up. It is more on the applied side. We don't need to create the model. We are simply just using a model that someone else has hosted on the servers. Okay, so that's about Postnet. It is made up by TensorFlow, and I'll show you the website as well. Then we have VS Code, right? So all of you, I expect all of you to have VS Code. If you don't have this, you can also use Ripple. Okay, so Ripple, wait a minute, Replit actually. Okay, so it is called as repl.it. You can just open it up and you can start using that. Or you can also use P5JS editor. Okay, so P5JS is a website. It also comes with an online editor that you can use to create something like this, to create your applications and your projects. Okay, so now what I'll do here is that I'll share my screen, and I'll start showing you how to build something like this. Okay, so I hope you are excited, and I have a very much blank folder right here. Let's just get started. Wait a minute. So yeah, what is Postman? I'll show that to you right now. This is how it looks like, right? So as we've seen with the demonstration that I just made, this is how this thing would look like. And how was it made? It was basically fed a lot of data, and with the data it learned how to properly guess where is the nose, where is the eyes, where is the ears, where are the other poses basically. So the structure of the program is going to be fairly simple. We'll first of all have to declare the variables, right? So if you guys follow my Python course, you know what that means. Basically, variable is just something that we declare whose value can change, right? So it is not a constant; it is a variable because its value varies. Okay, so that is my variable. Then we have a setup function. So in P5JS, whenever you create an application using P5JS in JavaScript, you would be having two things. You will be having two functions actually. The first function is called as the setup function. The second function is called as a draw function. This is similar to what we were doing in Pygame. Okay, remember in Pygame, first of all, we used to create that element like that square, and then we used to blit it on the screen. So we would say key windows.win.blit, right? So this is a two-step process. Similarly, we are having two steps inside of my P5JS as well. And then we'll also have a function to assign the poses to the variables. All right. So that's what we'll be doing. मैं अपने न्यू लैपटॉप में VS कोड डाउनलोड किया पर ओपन करने ब्लैक स्क्रीन आ रही है, क्या करूँ? ट्राई टू रिफ्रेश इट, रिफ्रेश करके देखो, दैट शुड सॉल्व द इशू. अगर प्रॉब्लम वापस से आ रही है तो यू शुड ट्राई टू री इंस्टॉल VS कोड. Okay, so yeah, I was just saying that we will be creating a function. और वो फंक्शन में क्या होगा, उसमें बेसिकली मैं डिक्लेयर करें, जो मैंने वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर करे हैं उनमें मैं उनमें असाइन कर दूंगा जो मेरे पोजेस हैं. ठीक है, तो पोज बेसिकली एक डिक्शनरी है. उनको दिखाऊंगा वो कैसी दिखती है बेसिकली. जस्ट अ मिनट. सो आई हैव पोजेस. So poses would actually look like this. It looks like a JavaScript object. And inside of this, we'll first of all be having, we would first of all have a few things. Okay, so it gives you a lot of information. It gives you the X coordinate, it gives you the Y coordinate, and then it also gives you the confidence. Confidence is the probability. It basically says that this is how likely, this is how confident it is in predicting these values. And it varies, right? Let's say that the video input that it is getting is just not good enough, so it won't be able to detect exactly what is happening. In this case, we have the X coordinate and we'll have the Y coordinate, and that is what we'll use. We'll assign this to our variable, and then we will just put it using the draw function, and we will just put it on the screen. Okay, so we'll do that. I'll show you how that thing works. For the first time, we'll also take a look at the JavaScript language. So let's just quickly get started and we'll go around the way. We'll learn on the way. Hopefully all of you can see the screen. Okay, so let me show you how this thing works. So here we have ML5JS. Okay, ML5JS helps you with a lot of machine learning. If you want to do with JavaScript, with the websites, that is what it helps you with. It's a pretty simple website to understand. You can just click over here, click on get started, and after that you will be having the documentation of ML5JS. There is a lot that you can do here, right? So you can go for body pics, you can go for hand pose. Hand pose basically means like this: you can just say this and it would say 1. You can do this, it would say 2. Okay, so that is called as a hand pose. This is also a model that you can use. And there are many things that are available. You also have face mesh, which basically creates a mesh around your complete face. Okay, so there's a lot that you can do. You have face API. Let's go to image classifier. This is a very simple one. You can just get it. You can use it to basically describe what is in the image. So in this case, it is saying that this is this bird, and the confidence is also provided. Confidence is important, right? Because confidence just tells you that how confident the model is in predicting this value, this label actually. So this is my image classifier, and we have other things as well. Object detector. We have sound classification. Let's say we are singing something or we are having some sort of a sound. It can detect what kind of sound it is. We have text character recognition, right? So we are using an RNN for that. We have sentiment. Okay, so what happens with sentiment is that if I smile, it would say that I am smiling. If I cry or if I make a different face, it would detect that face. Okay, so there are a lot of cool things, and you don't need to create these models. You can directly just use these models. So I'll go to Postnet here, and this is what Postnet looks like. It has a lot of documentation. Take a look at this if you're interested, but I'll just move on and we'll see how this thing works. First of all, I want to show you this website of TensorFlow, and this is where it gives you the complete information. It gives you these IDs and the part. It says that on this index, the 0th index means the nose, the first index means the left eye, the second index means the right, and so on and so forth. So it basically detects 0 to 16, 17 key points. Okay, and this is what this thing would look like. So as you can see, it detects all of the points of your body, the main points, and then we can move down, we can see a lot more information about it. All right, so that's about it. We can also take a look at P5JS, and we would basically be using this code over here, this line into our HTML to use that. So now enough of talking. Let's get into code. First of all, I'll just create a very simple index.html. Okay, index.html, and this is a very simple HTML website page, and I'll also add a script or sketch, something like that. Okay, so sketch.js, which is our JavaScript file. This is what we'll be working with for the most of this or for the most of this class. And that's pretty much it. I can just go here. I can have this boilerplate. This is basically a very basic, simple syntax of using HTML. So first of all, I'll just say that this is a pose net demo. That would be the title, and that is all that we need to do. Now we'll also have to link it. So first of all, I'll have my script tag here. So I'll put my script tag inside of my body, and this one would have sketch.js, right? So now that we have done that, let's see what else can we do. All right. So first of all, I will have to get these links. So the first link is this one right here. I need this link and I need to just put it inside of my HTML. So as it says that a sample HTML page might look like this. So I'll just go here and I'll put it over here. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see what else do we need. We also need to go to PostNet and we need to go to the introduction to ml5.js. Okay, and here is where we'll be able to get that code. So we want to get that link that we can use, and this here is the link. There's basically two links. I think we can use both of the. Okay, let's use this one for now, and I'll put it over here in my head itself. Okay, after this, what we need to do next? Let's see. Yeah, so now we have basically put in the link of ml5js as well as the link of p5js. What these links will do is that you don't need to download any other code. Basically, ml5js and p5js is some code that someone else has written and they have put it up on some server. And you are using that code by referencing and putting in a link. Okay, so you don't need to get the complete code. You are just referencing it using the link. This is called the CDN. Okay, and that's about it. Let's get started. Let's see, let me open up the live server. Okay, so what this does is that it runs your program and it runs it using live server. Okay, so inside this, first of all, what I'll do, I'll ask question, I'll wait for questions as well. But first of all, I'll just go in and I'll just say instead of my sketch.js, I'll just say let video. So what I do by this is that I'm saying that I want to have a variable which is called as video. Then I want to have a function. This function is basically used for me to basically set up my P5JS code. And instead of this, we'll use something, we'll call it create canvas. Wait, spelling is wrong. Okay, create create canvas, and inside of this we need to provide how big do you want the canvas to be. So canvas is sort of the place where all of the magic will happen. That is where all of the execution, that is where all of the animation will appear. In this case, I'll just make it something like let's go with something like 700 and 500. Okay, so this is basically 700 pixels wide and 500 pixels in height basically. Okay, after that, let me also draw my function, and this one would actually be function draw. Okay, and inside of my draw function, I'll just say this. Okay, first of all, we need to use that. So I'll get back here and I'll be saying this. I'll say video is actually equal to So what do we need to do? First of all, we need to first of all get this video permission. Okay, I need to get this video input from my browser, and for that I will say this. I'll say create capture. So create capture, and then I can just have my video. Okay, now as you can see, once I have done that, it now asks me for camera access. Okay, I can click on allow as well. And now as you can see, my video is appearing on the website that we have just created. And let's see what else can we do here. First of all, I'll just go inside my function draw, and I'll say this. I'll say image, I'll say image, and then I will just put in, wait a minute. Okay, image, we'll put in the video, and we'll put in where do you want to put it. So in this case, I will just put it at about 0 comma 0. That is at the origin of it. So now let's see what happens. Let's do this. Let's see if that works. Right, so as you can see, I now have two of these video inputs. We don't need two of them. This first one, this one that you can see over here, this one was actually created when I said video equal to capture video. Okay, and this one, this image one was actually created when I said, when I put this into my draw function. So we basically now have two. We want to hide this one. So for hiding it, we'll just say this. We'll say that we want to video dot hide. So now the video should be hidden. Let's see. Right. So now as you can see, we only have one video input. That is a good starting point. And let's see what else can we do here. Before that, I just want to ask if you have any questions, guys. Any questions? Yeah, we are using VS Code for this, Preetham. Okay, so no questions, guys. So let me again share my screen and we'll get into it. Okay, so inside this, first of all, I have I have this very simple video input. Next, what I'll do is this. So I have to first of all get this information, right? I need to get some information about the complete pose. Okay, so for that, I'll say this. I'll say let's import PoseNet. So for that, have this variable which is called as let PoseNet. Okay, so we have now initialized this, and over here we can just say that PoseNet is actually equal to ml5 dot ml5 dot PoseNet. Okay, make sure that you use the n in like uppercase, right, or else it would not work. After this, I can just say video and comma, and I can say model initialized. Now, what is model initialized? This is something that we'll see now. Um, yeah, as you can see, this thing doesn't work because there's an error. We have this function called as model initialized. We have not used it anywhere. We have not declared it anywhere. Okay, so we'll first of all just create this function, and I'll call it, and I'll say function model initialized. And inside of this function, what I'll do is that I'll just say console.log, and I will just put in model has been connected. Okay, so what happens with console.log is that it now, if you were to open up, inspect element and take a look at the console or the console, you can see, yeah, as you can see, it says model has been connected. I don't know if you can see this or not, but below the rainbows, it says a model has been connected. Okay, so that's what you can take away from this. I'll show you what we need to do next. So we now have our percent model that has been connected. Next, we need to do this. We need to say, to initialize the pose, we will say this. We'll say pose net dot on. Okay, so we want to initialize this, and in this case, we want it to be pose, and next we want the function for it to be called as got poses. Okay, so in this we will be using these poses to assign them to our variables that we have not yet created. So let me create those. So what I'll say is this. I'll say let nose x, which means the x coordinate of my nose to be equal to 0 for now, because we don't have any data and the initial value can be put to 0. Then we can say similarly, let nose y also be equal to 0. By the way, I'm putting these semicolons. This is basically used for you to end the line. I should be using it more often actually. Here. Basically, after every single line break, you should put it. It's a good practice that you can follow. Right, so we have that now. Looks a lot cleaner. Next, what we need to do is we need to create this got poses, right? Because similarly, what we did in model initialize is that we wrote it over here, but we have not yet created this model, this function actually. So we'll do this. We'll first of all create got poses over here. So we'll just say this function got poses, and this one would have this argument called as poses inside of it. And what I want here is this. First of all, I want to see what exactly is in the dictionary or the JavaScript object. So basically, as I've told you, whenever I have this postnet, it shows me, it gives me a dictionary or a JSON object, which basically has the x and y coordinates as well as the confidence, okay, or how confident the model is that this is my nose or this is my ear or my eye, okay. So that we need to do here. So I'll just say this poses. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's put in the semicolon. Let's wait for this to reload. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll just go to inspect and let's see what it gets. I'll go to console. Okay, and as you can see, it gets a lot of values over here. If I try to see what exactly is happening here, let's see. So in here, I have these two things. Okay, I have first pose and I have second pose. I click on the 0th one and I get, first of all, the pose as well as the skeleton. Okay, now I can see I have a score, which is the confidence, and then I have the key points. If I were to expand this, I will see exactly what is over here. I have left ankle, left ear, left elbow, and all of those things are available with us right here. It gives me the X and Y coordinate, and it shows me the uh, confidence. Okay, so obviously, currently I don't have my ankle or my waist over here. So the confidence for that for sure is very, very less. Okay, but I have my left ear, I have my right ear, like this. Okay, so for that it is showing me a high confidence. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. We will be using this JSON object, we'll be getting some information from it. So that's what I wanted you to know. Once we have initialized the nose x and the nose y, let's see what else do we need to do. First of all, I'll say this. Okay, I'll say nose x and I'll equate that to be equal to poses, and inside of my poses, since it is a JSON object, I can just go to the 0th one, the first object of my complete like dictionary or whatever you want to call it. Then I will go into dot pose, okay, because that is what I was getting. If I were to again click on inspect element in my let me see this, right? So you can see I get this pose. If I click on pose, I have a score, I have a key point, and then I have nose, eye, left ear, whatever. Right, so that's how this thing would work. And I will first of all go into the first one, which is my pose, which is the 0th one, and then I will go into my pose. So I'll just do dot pose and I'll say dot key points, and in that as well we'll just pick up the 0th one. Okay, and in the key points, basically that means that we want to get in the 0th part, and then we want to go into the position, dot position, and then we'll say dot position dot x, because this was a long line that we just wrote here. But basically what we are doing here is that we are getting this nose x with us. We are getting that x coordinate, right? I have shown you the x coordinate. Let's see, let's take a look at one. So let's see, where is my nose according to this person, this one. So yeah, as you can see, the nose, it says the x axis, the x coordinate is 371, y coordinate is 291. Okay, this is with respect to this frame. This is a 500, let me see, this is a 700 into 500 canvas that we have just built up. Okay, so just keep this thing in mind. This is very much important for you to understand. I'll do the same thing, but for my nose y. So now I have my nose y, and I can also get my y over here. After that, I actually need to draw it, right? So I have my x, I have my y of the nose, but I have not yet drawn something over my nose. Okay, so I have those values. I just need to draw something upon it. So let's try to draw something. Let's see. Let's see what we need to draw here. So for this, I will do this. Okay. First of all, I'll say I want to fill it with, let's go with 255, comma 255, comma 0, which would be what, yellow, I think. This is not file list. Wait a minute. Let's fill. After fill, I will say ellipse. Okay, so I want to make it a I want to make it a circle, and circle is a special case of ellipse in which basically it like the A and the B is completely equal. But don't worry if you don't understand that. Basically, I want to create a circle, and I will be providing the x and the y axis, and I will also be providing like where exactly do I want to put it. So in this case, I'll just say nose x, nose y, and let's make it, how big should it be? Let's keep it 30. Now let's see what happens. Let's see what do I get here. Okay, can you see this? I get this yellow dot that is following my nose. I can try to hide it. It tries to detect the location of my nose. Now it is here. Okay, so that's how this thing works. Please ask if you have any questions, please let me know. Any questions, guys? I'll show you some more things that you can do with this. Okay, so then let me just share my screen once more. Okay, so I have my nose over here. I can also have my eyes. Okay, so I can just say let's see. First of all, we'll just have the left eye. So for that, I'll just do left underscore eye, or let's just say left eye, and we'll get the x coordinate of that, and we'll equate that to be equal to 0. And the same thing we'll do over here. We'll say let right eye, or actually the left eye, y coordinate, left I y, and that is equal to 0 itself. And then I can also create the same thing for my left and right eye, for the right eye itself. Okay, so I'll just need to change this from right to left. Okay, so I've done that. And next what I need to do is that I just need to copy this part. I'll just copy it once more, and yeah. Now I will just be changing this from left eye x, and we'll put the nose y to be equal to, like we'll just get rid of this and we'll say left eye y. Then we'll get to the next one and we'll call this the right ix and the right iy. You can probably do a better job by just using a for loop, but I am not doing that. I just want to show you a very simple application of this. Xy, that is completely fine, looks good. I'll change this and I'll make it I'll make it 1 in this case and 1 in this one as well, and 2 in this case and 2 in this one as well. Okay, so I have this. I can also just do the same thing over here. In this case, I'll just make it green. So my eyes would be green. And then I can just change this to be the left one. We'll say left eye X. And similarly, we'll just do the left eye Y. Okay, and the same thing we'll do here as well. We'll just say right eye X, and in the nose Y as well, I'll just replace this with right eye Y. Okay, let's see, what do we have here? So as you can see, basically I have these yellow and green dots that just follow me like this. Now what you might be noticing is that these like their size changes with respect to how far am I, right? So if I'm like really far away, this thing would really start to increase a lot, right? Versus if I were to come closer, let me just come closer. Yeah, this thing really reduces in its size. So this is also something that happens, and it does it automatically based upon just the ratio of my face to the something of that sort. Okay, so it's pretty mathematical. We won't go into that right now. Okay, also we need to put in semicolons. Let's do that. After this, let's see what else can we do. We can also do the same thing for the other poses. Okay, so if you want to detect your shoulders, if you want to detect your waist, if you want to detect your legs, you would do the same thing, right? Now let's do one more thing. Okay, so to make sure that these don't increase in its size, because if I move really back, this would actually increase a lot more. This would become like this big. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. We want it to remain constant pretty much. So I'll do this. I'll say also one thing, if you will notice, let me just get out of this and then you'll understand probably. So if I just move out of this complete frame, let me move out. And then if I come back, you can see that the poses are now gone. Okay, so I can no longer see those yellow and those green dots. Why is that the case? That is the case because basically I have no poses right now, right? So to to prevent that from happening, we would say something like this. We'll say if poses dot length is greater than 0. So now this thing would only execute if this thing is going to be, wait, let me just show this to you. So now if we run this and let's see what happens next. So now this would only run if the length is greater than 0. That means it is 1 or 2 or 3. So if I go again outside of this frame, and I'll show this to you. And then when I come back, as you can see, this thing again comes back and the poses are still visible. So that's also something that you can do. Now, if you want to make sure that the distance that these remain of the same basically size, what you can do is this. We'll actually get the distance. So we'll say, let's get the distance. So for that, I'll introduce a new variable. I'll just say let d, which is my distance, is equal to dist. And instead of dist, I will be having a few things. So first of all, I'll have my nose x, I'll have my nose y, I will have my left eye x, wait a minute, left eye x, I'll have my left eye y, I'll have my right eye x, I'll have my right eye y. Okay, so all of these things I will be having, and with this I can use it. And what I can say basically, let me show you what happens here. So if I add a new slide, with this, I want to play with the help of ratios. So I'm saying, let's say I have, oh, this is not good. So I have this as my nose, and let's say I have my eyes over here, right? So this is what the pose is detecting basically. If I were to move away, the size actually increases. What we want to do is that we want to take the distance from both of them. We want to take this distance, okay, and we want to just make it that the size remains constant. So we'll define what the radius would be. The radius for now has been set to be 30, and that 30 is with respect to the complete face and the size basically. So that changes, right? So now my face is smaller. If I go closer, the size definitely increases, and similarly those poses also increase in its size. So like what I can do over here is that I can just use this d, which is the distance between. It is a distance between these x and y's, this x and y, and this x and y basically. And then I can just do d by 3 or d by 4. Okay, that would keep it constant, and that would really help us create a better pose estimation model. So I'll just get rid of 30, 30, and everywhere. And I'll say d by 3, or let's go with d by 4, and let's see what happens. D by 4, D by 4. All right, so let's see what happens next. So now, as you can see, these things look really big. Okay, let's change this to d by 3 and let's see what happens then. I think that would increase, right? So this thing increases in size. Okay, so that's what you can do. It's a very simple application that we have just tried to create. And there are a lot more things that you can try out yourself. One assignment that I would give to you is to try to implement all of those things, right? So what I mean by that is that I want you to detect the complete pose, right? So I want the shoulder, I want the wrist, I want the legs as well, and the waist as well. So detect all of those and try to create something like this. Create something like this. So you already have these dots. You can just connect these dots using a line. So how can you build a line? So for that, you can come to p5.js and you can see how was it made. So as you can see, we can create a circle like this. We can create many things over here. You can just go to getting started. Reference, get started over here. And you can create a circle like this. You can have other things as well. Yeah. There are many things that you can do over here, but the most basic thing is to create your own setup function as well as your draw function, and then you can just go forward with that. So try to create something like this. It's very much simple. You can find many applications, and this would really look good when you show it to someone. Okay, so there you have it. This is ml5.js. You can do a lot more things in here. Let me show you one example of what you can build. So let's say I have, wait a minute. Yeah, I have this Microsoft model over here, which basically, if I were to go to, let's say I go to this one, this is the emotion one. Okay, so basically what it does is that it detects my emotion in real time. This was also made using something called as onyx.js, which is different from ml5.js, but the functions are pretty much similar. So let's see if this thing would ever load up. Start the camera. As you can see, basically as I am altering my face, it is giving me some answer to what am I doing, right? So okay, so I think this basically has two things. It has one happiness and then it has one neutral. This is a happiness emotion detector. All right. So this is how this thing works. You can just smile and then it would tell you that you are smiling. If you don't smile, it just says that you are neutral. So that's also something that you can try out. If you want to implement this, you can go and take a look at ML5 JS. Scroll down and you will get something like that. Emotion. Let's see the emotion. Sentiment is available. Okay, so this is text sentiment. Just try to use this. Okay, this is very simple. They have given a very good documentation, and I would highly encourage you to take a look at the documentation because this is where everything has been pretty simply laid out for you. Okay, so you have sketch RNN, you have DC guns. There are many things. Okay, let's take a look at this. So you can detect. Let's see what is the use of this. Image or drawing converted to Pokemon characters, Pikachu using Pix to Pix trained, right? So these are also some things that you can do, Pix to Pix. You have style transfer, which is really famous. You can take two images and you can just combine them to create this amazing looking graphic design, basically. Okay, so as you can see, they have used this picture, which is a picture of what is it? I think this is some tsunami, and then these are some volcanoes, right? And they end up getting something looking like this. So this is also something that you can do with the help of machine with the use of ML5 JS. You don't need to build some machine learning model particularly, but you will simply be using this and you will be using it to implement in your own project. Then you have Face API. What this does, yeah, so it basically draws lines around the face, right? So it has the lips, the nose, eyes, and the eyebrows as well. You have face mesh actually, and in this case it basically just draws these lines to detect your complete face. You can also take a look at this. They might have some demo available. Face mesh, right? So this is how this thing works. This is also coming under pose estimation. Take a look at the demo and you will understand how this thing would work. So I have my own face. Let's see if this thing would work. Okay, maybe this thing doesn't really work as well, right? So as you can see, this basically creates this mesh around me and it detects me in like 3D visualization, right? So this is this X, Y, and Z graph, and you can see my lips moving, and I have my eyebrows moving, so it detects that as well. This is also really cool. You can try to create something like this with the help of ML5.js. Simply go here and start creating this. Okay, so it has the complete documentation. Just copy paste this, try to understand what is happening, and then create something really amazing. This thing looks really interesting, by the way. It draws these dots on your complete face, and then whenever you change it, it also changes those dots. What is interesting is that I have this 2 megapixel camera and it is able to do the same thing, right? So that's how this thing would work. I can do this as well. So this is pretty cool, right? It is detecting my eyes as well. Okay. All right. So yeah, guys, this is also an amazing example that you can try out. Let's see what other things can we do with this. We have hand pose as well, right? So let's take a look at this. Let me try to show you what you can do with this as well. Yeah, as you can see, it detects the poses of your hand and it tells you what exactly are you doing here. So I'll have my check does not appear to have style information associated with it. Documentary is shown below. Okay, so there's some problem over here, I think. But okay, no problem. think you get the idea what will be happening here, right? So I can just do like this and I can do this and all that stuff, right? So it will just detect my hand poses. You can take a look at the complete model as well if you want to. Just read this. This is from GitHub, by the way, and you will get to learn a lot from that. Okay, what is UNet? Is a convolutional neural network that was developed by biomedical image segmentation of just try to read. Okay, so if there's one thing that you can take away from this class is to read and understand everything yourself. Okay, I also just went to ML5 JS and I read and I understood how this thing would work, and you can do the same thing. Okay, it's very much simple. Just put down some time and you can learn it pretty quickly. Take a look at body pics. Then you have, okay, so that is pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions, or I can also show you some other things. Let's see what else do we have. We have SqueezeNet. What is this? So as you can see, this is actually trained on Imagenet. What is Imagenet? Imagenet is basically some type of, I can just upload some image or I can select some. This is actually a classification model, basically differentiates between all of these. So it has cat, dog, fox, cheetah. I can just put in some image and it would tell me what is the likelihood of it being a dog or a cat or whatever I'm using. This is called a SqueezeNet and is trained on ImageNet. You can just search here saying ImageNet dataset and you will get a lot of information about it. This is the dataset that this thing has been trained on. And search resources, you can explore, right? So you have all of these animals, plant, activity, material, food, and scene. Just click on fish and you can see what all are the images, I think. Yeah, this thing is loading right now. Right, so yeah. Okay, so with this, you can just take a look at the images that are being used over here. There are many images that are used to train this model, and you can just take a look at them all. Images of the Synset tree map visualization, and you can download it as well if you want to. All right, but yeah, this is ImageNet. This is how this model was trained. Let's try to, should I upload some image? Let me see. Okay, let's try and upload an image. Let's see what image can I find. Okay, let's see. Let's take this one as an example. So it says that these are the likelihood of it being that thing. Okay, so maybe humans were not put into this data set. So that is also a reason. Let's see what is this. This is called as Resnet, which is also another model that is trained on this data set. So there are multiple models that you can train based on like what is the outcome that you want to achieve. And let's take a look at YOLO, which is real-time object detection. And let's see how this thing would work. Okay, this thing would take some time to load. I will share once more if this thing has been loaded. But if you have any questions, please ask. Any questions? So basically in my Python class, I have talked about how machine learning works. Currently, we are doing machine learning classes, so you can join that as well if you want to. And if you want to learn about JavaScript and how websites are created, I also have a course on that. And that course is me talking about how to create the front end of the website, how to make it interactive. And then I also talk about the back end part of the website. I think it has loaded up. Okay, so let me share the screen once more. And let's see what do we have here. So here this is my YOLO, which is real-time object detection, in which I can just move in. This is a little slower, but it basically just tells that what is inside of the video. Here it says there's a person with a confidence of 43%, 66%, 50. So it basically changes based upon my location and what am I, how am I looking like in the camera. I can just sit back and it would have a higher confidence, I think. Right. So this thing, it basically varies a lot based upon what are you doing over here. Okay, let me just try to move back a little bit and then let's see what happens. Right. So it varies a lot. Basically, that's what I wanted to understand. All right, so let me just close this up, and that's all that I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully, you liked and enjoyed this session. Since you have no questions, make sure that you join the class where I talk about how to use JavaScript. And I also have a class today itself where I'm talking about machine learning at 8 o'clock. Okay, so yeah, that's all about pose estimation. It's very much simple. We'll be using we use ML5 JS as well as P5 JS, and we try to basically first of all initialize that object and then draw that object on the screen. Okay, so there are a few things. One is called as create canvas. Okay, that is how you create that rectangle that we had. It was for 700 into 500, I think, pixels. And then we went and we basically just had all those variables, right? So we had let nose x, nose y, left eye x, left eye y, right eye x, right eye y, and we initialized that and set that to 0. And after that, we went and take a look at the JSON object that we were getting called as poses. And in the poses, we found out the x position of the nose by referencing that 0th one. Okay, you can also go in and you can just go and you can mention other parts of the body as well. So let's say you want something else, you can find that, right? So there is this TensorFlow link that I will just send to you. Take a look at that, and there it is written which index you need to use. In our case, we were using the nose, so that had an index of 0. When is the next class, sir? The next class, well, I have a class on machine learning today itself at 8 o'clock. Okay, if you don't have the membership of the Creative Corner subscription from Unacademy, you can just use the code Ishan15 to Ishan10 actually to get that. Wait a minute. It is called as Ishan S10, right? So just use this, and with that, you will be getting a 10% discount with that. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I will see you all in my other classes. I also have some other free classes. So if you want to take a look at that, I have done a class talking about how can you become a software developer, how to get started, what all are the career paths for you, and Android development, web development, and Python and other. When is the next free class? Okay, the next free class, I am not sure about that. Okay, so I will let you know. Most probably it would be in next month. So in 2021, that would be there. Okay, so thank you all, and I will see you in the next class. Okay, bye bye.